All right. We're live. Slab Takes, episode 3. I'm going to start doing this more regularly because I want to build the channel, and it's just sports, man. I'm just talking about sports. I'm up here just getting what's on my chest, off my chest. And we're going to have some fun. We're just going to chop it up. If anybody's in here, woohoo. If not, let's do it. All right. So the first topic, Bob Myers goes on Rich Paul's podcast and has a lot to say. And basically what's going on here is that LeBron's not taking any meetings with anybody. He's been living his best life in Akron. He's been golfing, growing out his gray beard, just having a good old time in a good old off season. Well, that's a problem for all the other GMs around the league because they want to know where's LeBron James going to go, and they want to know if they're going to be taken serious or not. So Bob Myers, being a great GM that he is, somebody who's been around the block, went to Rich Paul's podcast and basically had a conversation with Rich Paul and Max Kellerman. He acknowledged the fact that LeBron James' happiness, that word keeps popping up. He just wants to be happy, like he wasn't happy in LA. Well, he brought up the fact that that's a good thing for LeBron James. At this stage in his career, he should want to be happy. You've done everything you can do in the game of basketball, and you want to go out on a good note, something that you can look back on and say, hey, I went out my way and I went out happy playing with guys I wanted to play with an organization I wanted to play with. The problem is Bob Myers doesn't agree that's what it should all be about for LeBron James. LeBron James should want to win championships. And Bob Myers was upfront and outright in that statement. He said, no, it's about winning, right? That's how the greatest players in the game are judged. They're judged about how many championships they win. And he knows that's what LeBron ultimately wants. He does. So he made it a point on the podcast to let LeBron know and let the rest of the world know that the Philadelphia 76ers are the team best equipped to take him to the promised land. And I 100% agree. If you look at Miami and if you look at the Cleveland Cavs, I'm going to do a quick second on Miami. Giannis, love him to death. 31 years old, been a little injury prone the last few years. And then Bam Adebayo is a nice player, but not a game changer. Every stop that LeBron James has made, he's needed other Hall of Famers along for the ride to get the mission done. Let's just be open and honest about that. He needed Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami to close the deal. When he went to Cleveland, he had the Cavaliers trade for Kevin Love. Kyrie was always there, so they won there. And then he went and traded for AD when he was with the Lakers. So you need Hall of Fame level, Hall of Fame talent besides LeBron, and he knows that. I don't think Bam Adebayo is that type of Hall of Fame level player. I think Giannis is. I just don't think that you can build out the rest of that roster the way it needs to be built out quickly for LeBron James to win there. Cleveland is a whole nother story. And they're a whole nother story because they have serious inroads to LeBron's heart. Apparently, one of his best friends that played basketball with him, Weems or somebody like that, is the assistant GM with the Cavs. So that's a feather in their cap and going to the whiteboard that Rich Paul had. It's Akron, Ohio. It's right down the road. He's played for the franchise twice. He'll be at home. Those are all of the heartwarming happiness things that LeBron James wants. You look at that roster, in my opinion, I don't trust anybody on that roster. I don't. And if you stack those players up top to bottom against what Philadelphia offers, it's a no-brainer. If you're going to tell me that Cleveland Cavaliers, their best player is Donovan Mitchell, who we're going to talk about in a second with his contract, is he better than Jaylen Brown? I think Jaylen Brown's better. Is he better than Tyrese Maxey? I would rather be Tyrese Maxey right now at this point in my career than I would be Donovan Mitchell, who's about to be 31. Off rip, I would take Maxey and Jalen Brown over Donovan Spider Mitchell right now. So then you go to the front court. If Joel Embiid stays healthy, and that's a huge ass if, I get it. Of course, you're taking him over Jared Allen and Mobley. And what LeBron has to look at when he makes this decision, if I were him, I would be willing to bet and roll the dice on Joel Embiid playing 65 games versus James Harden having a really, really good postseason run. With everything that I just laid out for you, the fact that I would take Jalen Brown and I would take Tyrese Maxey over Donovan Mitchell, it's a no-brainer comparing Mobley and Allen to Joel Embiid. But we've seen Harden year after year after year after year after year not live up in the playoffs. We saw what happened with the 76ers when they were down 3-1 and Joel Embiid got back into the lineup after he had his the surgery for his appendix. They came back and won the series largely because of Joel Embiid. That's what it is. So for me, if you're talking about winning a championship, and I agree with Bob Myers 100%, how is Philly not the choice? How is the Heat even in this conversation? And what happened to the Warriors? Are the Warriors even not a factor anymore? I would rather see LeBron James, if I'm ranking it, number one, go to Philly if you're trying to win. Number two, just for nostalgic purposes, go to Golden State. Steph Curry, LeBron James, that would be box office. I think everybody would tune into those games. I don't think they would have much of a chance for winning because it would be the geriatric Warriors at that point, because you got Jimmy Butler, who's 36, you got Draymond, who's 36, Steph's 38, and LeBron's 41. Two out of those four, or three out of those four are going to have soft tissue injuries by February, if we're just being honest. So go to Philly, LeBron James, if you want to win. That would be my synopsis on that. That's how I feel about it. I don't know why this is the only reason Cleveland would be an option, obviously, is for everything I laid out. Hometown, you got all your friends there. Apparently, he loves vacationing in Akron in the offseason. So, yeah, I think it's between the Cavs and the Sixers, and I think smarter minds will prevail at the end of the day. I expect him to go with the 76ers. All right, two more topics left. Donovan Mitchell. This contract extension is absurd. Listen to what he's going to get paid out starting after this upcoming season. In the 2027-2028 season, that's after this upcoming one, he's going to make $60 million. The year after that, 28-29, $65 million. The year after that, 29-30, $70 million. And then he has a player option at the age of 34 in the fourth year of the deal for $75.5 million. I respect Spider Mitchell. Damn good basketball player. I think he was like second team All NBA last year. Not this past season, but the year before. If Jalen Brown just got traded because he's going to make 60 plus million, and the Celtics couldn't justify that, I don't know how you're going to be able to justify in 2 years paying him close to $70 million. Donovan Mitchell, in his best year, which was 2 years ago, got kicked out in the second round by the Pacers in 5 games. He had never been out of the second round. This past season was his first time getting out of the second round, and he promptly got swept. I don't think Donovan Mitchell is a $70 million per year player. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers they're gonna sit back in 2 years and be like, what were we doing? Why did we max extend him? But they were stuck with doing it. You're not gonna not max extend Donovan Mitchell if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they did it. I think they try to get it off the books in 2 years. I don't see the Cleveland Cavaliers winning anything. I know Big Perk on ESPN said that LeBron James knows what dogs look like. And that's kind of how I open this up. because he's always played with Hall of Famers when he's won championships. There's not anybody on the Cavs roster that I think, oh man, that dude can be a pretty good piece on the championship team. Not even Donovan Mitchell, and that's their best player. Harden, absolutely not. Mobley, absolutely not. And then Jared Allen, absolutely, absolutely not. And so they're already a second apron team. Now, here's the deal. James Harden opted out of his deal, so they were able to pay Donovan Mitchell this money. It's not looking good. I even if they stay out of the second apron, I hate this contract for the Cleveland Cavaliers. 70 million is way too much for Donovan Mitchell. Okay. Last topic. Short episode here. Going into the football season, I'm starting to do some fantasy football content on the new channel. This is not fantasy football related, but this is NFL related. There's a lot of quarterbacks that have some things that are going to be up for grabs in the NFL when we're talking about hierarchy, when we're talking about respect level, who's elite and who's not. And I got 4 quarterbacks that have a lot at stake this upcoming season. The first one being Justin Herbert. But it's time to shit or get off the pot. I've heard for years just how special and just how good you are. But every time I see you in the playoffs, it's a problem. It's really, really bad. And you hear Jim Harbaugh before last season hype him up as the best quarterback in the league. I've never had a quarterback better than this. He's the absolute real deal. It's everything they've been saying about him for the past 4 years. And then we get to the wild card weekend versus the Patriots, and it looks like it's been looking for him the past 2 years before that. Really, 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 really bad. And I used to be a Justin Herbert defender. I said, if you put everything around Justin Herbert, he can be an elite quarterback, but it's time to show it. So that's my first quarterback. Second quarterback, Baker Mayfield. He does not have a contract extension. He's eligible for one. He's going out there kind of naked right now because this is a prove it. This is a, hey, you need to show us that you can be our franchise quarterback for the next 3 to 4 years because you don't have an extension. And last year ended terribly. He played hurt last year. I think he's going to miss Mike Evans a little bit because that was just a guy you could throw it up to and expect him to come down with it. You still got Godwin. You still got really good pieces. You got Emeka Ibuka. But this is a huge year for Baker Mayfield. Playing with no extension, you're basically playing for your livelihood, right? This is going to dictate how your next 3 to 4 years in the league are going to go. Number 3, Kyler Murray. But Kyler Murray was paid $30+ million by the Arizona Cardinals to go away. Yeah, those Arizona Cardinals who currently don't have a quarterback. They paid him $36 million to get out of the building. And then after that happened, a lot of people came to their realization that Kyler Murray's just been a middle-of-the-road quarterback his whole time in the NFL. For all the elite features that he has, his running ability, the way that he could spin the ball. He's a baseball player too, got drafted to the MLB. Everything is there, but it never has amounted to anything in 7 years. And then when he signed his first deal, the Cardinals had to put a clause in his contract that was never before seen in an NFL contract, which is study time on your iPad at home. And he's known as Call of Duty Murray. So I think and you've heard stories about his leadership. I think for him is, have you grown up yet? Are we done playing video games and are we going to study and be obsessed about football when we get home outside of the building? Are you going to be a better leader? Because you're in a quarterback competition with somebody that you should absolutely dust. It shouldn't even be a competition between you and JJ McCarthy. It shouldn't. So we'll see how that goes. And last but not least, Joe Burrow. I think even though like Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray are playing for jobs, this one's along the lines of a Justin Herbert, but even more. You got to get back to the playoffs. It's been 3 years. Injuries have played a part. I know that you put up huge numbers and your defense was absolute dog shit. But the fact that you came out and said that since your time at LSU, the national championship season, that this is the best you felt about a football team, you got to be able to back those words up. Because as of right now, and I'm pretty sure he does not care about this, people are wondering if you're still a top 5 quarterback. I believe he is, talent-wise, 100%. I think he's a top 3 quarterback. But you can't justify, or I can't at least, defending him to every single person that tells me that he's not, when he's not been in the playoffs in the past 3 years. And you can say it's not his fault, he's been hurt, blah, 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 whatever. You got to get back there. You got to make it. It's non-negotiable if you want to stay amongst the elite. So that's my top 4 quarterbacks: Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Joe Burrow. Those guys have all the things in the world to play for this upcoming season. Next episode, I might do some more. I might do a part 2 on that segment. But that's the episode. I'm not going to be up here 30 to 45 minutes every night, guys. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to have short, nice, neat episodes. I think I rambled too much on this one, so it'll probably be 12 to 15 minutes on the next episode. All right. Appreciate it, man. Hit the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Peace.